The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the 13th chapter of the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl of great price, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
As a very young child, I remember a story that I read in a little children's book. It was about Aladdin and the magic lamp. I was fascinated with it. I started looking for that lamp. As the story goes, when Aladdin found this lamp, he was very poor, and he was also a very idle boy, but he thought he could get rich. So when he found the lamp, he thought, I'll polish it because it was tarnished, and then I'll sell it. So as he's polishing the lamp, a genie appeared, and the genie says, "Whatever you want, I will do." That's what happens today with Solomon. God tells him, "What do you wish, and I will do it." And Solomon asked for an understanding heart. Not riches, not more power, an understanding heart. Even God was touched that he chose so well the one wish. And that is about the parables that Jesus tells. He wants us to recognize that though we come with earthly stories, each one of us, he wants us to understand these parables are about the kingdom of heaven and how we should take our earthly stories and tie them to the stories of God. Jesus Christ directs us how to do that. Right now, we're all writing our own stories. Some of us might say, well, someone's really writing them for me. Or past history has determined what my story is. There's many chapters in it so far. Some of us are closer to the final chapter than others. And all along, besides the joys in the chapters, there's also the inevitable conflict and resolution chapters. But Jesus makes it clear, all of the earthly stuff we're going to leave behind. We need to direct ourselves to the story of how we connect to Jesus' story and how we converge, so that eventually when the last chapter is written, there will still be an epilogue. And the epilogue will be how we join with the saints and the angels in the heavenly kingdom. Jesus Christ directing us to resurrection of life. But it's not as easy to do as it might seem. We need to have an understanding heart like Solomon, an understanding heart that can distinguish right from wrong and to direct us to the story. You'll remember the story of a very wealthy young man that was listening to Jesus. He was captivated by what he said and by his miracles. and how people hung on his every word. And so he blurted out, "Master, what must I do to have eternal life?" And Jesus says, "You need to go sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and then come follow me." The man was silenced, and he went away very sad, as the gospel said, because he had so much stuff. And then we can only recognize that at that point, the shortest sentence that appears in the New Testament must have grabbed Jesus' own heart. And that is, Jesus wept. Jesus wept because the young, wealthy man could not do what the Lord had asked. Take your story and make it part of mine and follow me. Each of us are asked to do the same thing. We have a lot of stuff. And what's being handed out to us is given to us free of charge, except Jesus says, "I want you to empty your hands. I want you to empty your hands and then come follow me." So what would the empty hand look like for each one of us? Well, first of all, we need to empty ourselves of the inability to forgive others. We need to empty ourselves from our hands of the inability to be strong, pro-life advocates from the womb to the tomb. We need to empty ourselves of the injustice that plagues us all. We need to empty ourselves of addictions that we might have. There's a lot of things that we're asked to empty ourselves of. It might be material, but generally it's something deeper. What do you and I personally need to empty from our hands so that we can be unlike the young wealthy man that turned away very sad? "I just can't do it, Jesus." And we don't want to hear our story ending with Jesus wept. Today, Jesus gives us these parables. These are gems. What is the pearl of great price that as a merchant we are willing to sell everything in order to purchase it? What is this treasure we find that we would sell everything we have to buy the land on which this treasure is buried? Today, Jesus is asking us very simply, I want you to retool the way you think. I want you to reframe the way you think. These parables are meant for us to really understand that our story is an earthly story, and it can only become a heavenly story when we empty our hands and tie it to Jesus' own story. And then our last chapter will be that epilogue where we rise with the Lord to new life.